So I thought it'd be really cool to give an insight into back in the day when we used to lift, we used to get some serious intensity in our weightlifting sessions, which I've rarely seen recreated anywhere else. So I just wanted to kind of touch on some of the stuff that I think helped to create that environment and that atmosphere. Also, why the pole snatch is my uh, probably the favorite lift that helps to improve the actual snatch. And then just a few other bits and bobs that I think would be really helpful for you guys to know as well. So there's a few key things that I remember from this day, which was like almost 8 years ago, which is crazy to think. And I specifically remember that day, usual routine. I used to have my oats with eggs in the morning, mix it together. It sounds rank, I know, and make porridge that way to make sure I got my protein in, do a bit of work and stuff. And then I knew I'd be going in the gym on that Wednesday for session starting at 1 o'clock. So I used to make sure that I'd get in for an hour before at the least. So on the way into the gym, I used to have a bulletproof coffee. I remember reading somewhere that it helped to kind of improve the rate at which your kind of brain connected to your muscles, or something along those lines. Don't know if it was true or not, but I found that it helped me to just focus better. And I was into like nootropics a bit more at the time as well, and I feel like it actually really did. So that's one of the things that I actually did, especially before any kind of big intense weightlifting session. The other thing I used to do a lot, and not just for the pole snatch, is watch weightlifting videos, and more specifically for me, it was Klokov. And the reason why I chose Klokov was because I felt like he had similar like proportions body wise to me, and he also just had this air of like intensity and like masculinity about him that was just got you really fucking hyped for your session. So he was one of my go-tos for my weightlifting sessions, as well as Alexei Turitsky. He was another that I used to watch a lot of videos of. It wasn't exclusively, watching those two, but those are two who used to watch, and just the reactions after they did the lift, equally as much as the lifts that they did, I found would really get me fired up. The other thing was we always used to lift together and have just a set time, every week where it'd be like, right, we're doing this session together. Or if it was a particularly big one, it was like, right, let's let a few extra people know we're all going to do this session at the same time. So because lifting with your crew really kind of brought that intensity, into the gym, because you were all behind each other, and we're all shouting at each other, we're all kind of holding each other accountable. As an example, it was like we knew we all had to be ready for 1 o'clock. So there's the accountability straight away. If I wasn't doing something quite right, or if Steve wasn't doing something quite right, or someone else, they would kind of, something wasn't quite on point during your warm-ups, you kind of let them know, so they could refine it during the warm-ups. When they're building up, it kind of helps to brush up on that. So there's a lot of benefits to lifting with other people. Equally, some people probably prefer without it, because you can kind of go at your own pace. But I think it depends on the session as well. Like I say, I think for this intense kind of max out weightlifting sessions, I always used to prefer it to do it with a crew. So that was one of the big things we used to do, was like 1 o'clock, Mondays, Wednesdays, either Friday or Saturdays, would be the time we used to lift together. The next thing was knowing how to tailor your warm-up to help you get the most out of that training session. So again, when I'm speaking specifically about like weightlifting, for me it was like, right, I'd hit movement mechanics. That's why I get in, an hour or two before the actual session, because movement mechanics would take 30, 40, sometimes up to 60 minutes, depending on the time of year and what else I had on. Other things I wanted to make sure that included was, again, this is for me specifically for snatches, was weighted hyperextensions. And again, this was kind of inspired by Klokov, and I think it's one of the reasons why I had such a strong posterior chain. I used to do 3 sets of 10 weighted hyperextensions or reverse hypers, just something to really get my posterior chain firing. For cleans, it will be a little bit different. I used to do a bit more kind of anterior activation work as well. I think like heel elevated, like cyclist squats or Spanish squats, that's that sort of vibe, as well as that bit of posterior chain work, like hyperextensions before. So I think figuring out what really, gets you activated, gets you firing your warm up is really, really, really important. For me, after doing the hyperextensions, like my whole back, my whole posterior chain was like, it was fucking lit. It was ready to go. And then coming back to the crew thing, so we used to start our kind of barbell warm up, and again, it just used to be 2 of us sharing a bar most of the time. You go, I go. So I do my set of 5 snatch deadlifts. Steve would do his set of 5 snatch deadlifts. Then it would be me again. Then him again. Then we do our snatch high pulls. And if it was this pause snatch session, we're doing it with a pause as well. So yeah, that's how the kind of warm up used to be. And then we just used to be like, right, 40, 60, 80, then we'd maybe drop down to 10s, 90, 100, kind of just building up. You kind of get to a point where you know what jumps you're both going to do, and you just kind of change the weights on the bar for each other. The next one is get some fucking bangers on. So for us, we'd always it would usually be Dakadak, grime, or some like old school like hip hop. Those were the main 3 things that we used to listen to back in the day that would get us, again, like fired up, start to create that atmosphere and intensity. And it was key to turn it on at the right time. So when we're doing our activation work and starting our warm-ups, like, you don't want super intense songs on at that point. You want to wait until you start to get the weight on the bar, and then you put your songs on that kind of flick that switch, and it's like, right, here we go. Like, we're starting to kind of dial up, we're starting to turn this up. And I think those were the kind of big key things that really helped with the environment and atmosphere. And like I say, we used to like give each other helpful little things that would help sharpen us up, and also really get behind each other, especially when you get to those last few sets. It's like you just want that hype, but it's also being able to control that as well. Some people get too too amped up, too excited and too aroused, and can't quite control it. So it's learning to control that as well. So yeah, that's kind of what would happen for our weightlifting sessions. So coming to the pause snatch specifically, let me just kind of move me over here. So the pause snatch. So the reason why I really liked it, and really liked it for my snatches, was that it used to, again, carrying that feeling of like feeling really switched on. It used to like really do that for me. So I mentioned about the hyper extensions before. It kind of ended up flowing nicely from that. So like, again, I could feel all my muscles working, and what I found was that when I hit that pause, I could really focus on every single muscle in my body being switched on. So I used to just make sure I could feel my legs working, my glutes working, my back working, my lats working, just absolutely as many muscles as I could. I could make sure the weight was, really balanced through my foot before I then executed the lift. I also think as well with the pause that it brings an element of like aggression and fearlessness as well as efficiency. So there was a really good example from a few weeks back at our junior and youth training camp. One of the girls in it, you could see she's really strong, but would just kind of go a bit too slow when doing a snatch and just kind of go through the motions uh, a little bit too much. And there wasn't much aggression there. And I said, like, pick the bar up off the floor like you really want it. And when when you execute from the pause, so after you've paused, think that someone's like shooting a gun and you've just got to go. And the difference before and after that cue was night and day. Like getting under the bar really quick, pulling the bar much quicker from that point at the pause at the knee. It was just, yeah, it was just way better. So I think it's important to have that aggression, and like I say, the pause makes you keep good position. So this is one of the key reasons why it's in during this phase of JST athlete and this climb phase. So one of the main things we're focusing on during the climb phase is improving positions and strengthening positions, as well as becoming a more efficient weightlifter and becoming a better weightlifter technically. So again, like it forces you to kind of hold good positions, so to strengthen that position. At the knee, when people can just let that bar stay too far away from the legs, pulling up to that position, you can't like rip it off the floor and get away with it, because if you rip it off the floor and lose position, you're going to be in a bad position in that pause and you're going to really struggle. So it kind of meant that you had to, have a nice first pull off the floor and keep good positions pulling off the floor before kind of hitting that pause as well. So it kind of helps to make you start with good positions, but also identifying correct positions at that point if you did need to, as well. I think the other one is, it makes you go from an absolute dead stop. So you're holding this hard position and you're hitting a dead stop, which again, like it takes out any kind of that elasticity that some people rely on if they do like a little bounce before they start the lift or anything like that. You're doing it from an absolute dead stop. It's like when doing pause squats. It is harder to kind of get out the bottom, or to initiate the pull from that position. So again, it's one of those that if you can pause snatch a good weight, like you're going to be able to snatch a good weight as well. So that's why I loved the pole snatch that much, because it used to make sure that my technique was razor sharp, and it won't be for everyone. I think that's important to understand as well. It won't be for everyone, but it worked really well for me. We're getting close here to clock off. He's just done his 200 kilo snatch. And again, coming back to the reason why I could watch Klokov and Alexei Turitsky was because they had similar like length limbs, length body to me. It helped me to visualize how that lift was going to be for me before I actually did it. So I was kind of like picturing in my mind, like when I'm stood there in front of the bar, like how the lift wanted to look, what positions I could be in, and that aggression as well. So it kind of helped me to visualize and then channel that, before I actually did the lift. So again, this is his 200 kilo pole snatch. And again, watching it, it's just like that Russian rawness. You know what I mean? It just, yeah, it just got me hyped. Which, yeah, just kind of absolutely loved. So yeah, pole snatch is in tomorrow. I currently hold the crown, but I'm hoping it won't be for too much longer on a pole snatch. This is the actual session that I hit this pause snatch for. I hope you can see it. think I was listen to everyone around just getting behind you. 132, I think. It felt pretty good. So I was like, fuck it, 136, let's get it on. It was so fucking close. I never actually I never managed to snatch 136, which would have been £300, which was like pretty big number back in the day. But yeah, so yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of inspiration for doing this pole snatch session, gets you excited for it, gets you fired up, and hopefully we see some really big numbers after this first kind of 10 weeks of this climb phase that we're currently in. So yeah, fucking send it, team.